Hi, this is Kayla the Hair Slayer with a how-to video for wig making. So there's a few tools that you need. First, you'll need scissors, thread, which I use cotton, your needles. I like the curved large ones, jumbo. They're easy for me to use. And an 18-inch lace closure from Virgin Hair Connect 706. Also, 4 bundles of Kendra's Boutique Deep Wave. I think they were 2/28 and 2/30s. So let's jump right on in. I'm showing you at this point how to begin using your lace closure. We're going to be installing this first before we start to sew in the bundles. And I'm using a simple cap that you can actually get from your local beauty supply store. I maybe only paid about $3.99 for that one. Depending on the head size of the client or depending on the preference of the client, I have been known to do different variations of caps, wig caps, to make the client more comfortable. This one is completely ventilated all the way through. As you can see, it's like a mesh netting, so this helps for a light use, especially great for the summertime so that your scalp can actually breathe. So you see here that I am just beginning at the tip of the lace closure, right where the hairline begins on the closure, and using a loop knot stitching technique. And I am placing my stitches fairly closely so that it creates a nice flat lay for that lace closure, so that when the client puts it on, there's no lifting or buckling at the top of the crown area. And this will just ensure that the closure lays nice and snug. And I'm just going to zoom in to show you the stitching and what it looks like. I've pretty much gone around both sides of my closure. So I use 2 threaded needles. So I will sew one side halfway and then alternate going to the other side, then going back to where I left off, and then kind of bringing those 2 sides together. And in the end, I will tie these 2 off, knot them, and then cut any excess thread that's left over. And excuse my nails on this video, you guys. I am way overdue for a fill-in, which this had to be a special occasion because I rarely even wear false fingernails. So as you can see, it lays really close and flat, and I place that closure just beyond the hairline of the wig so that way it actually lays close to the natural hairline of the client. So we're going to just begin in the very back of the wig, starting to sew. I'm going to be using 2 tracks at a time, or I'm going to be actually doubling the widths because she has 4 bundles of hair. I want to make sure that I can install all 4 bundles, and she has a pretty small head, so I want to just make sure that I can get the fullest look possible. And of course, this does save time. However, if not done properly, then it can cause the wig to kind of look what would I say, lumpy, and also you can actually cause it to not really last as long or lay as flat if it's not sewn properly. So I'm going to be just starting at the very bottom of the cap, using the same loop knot stitch that we use with the closure. And again, make sure you're sewing those stitches fairly closely together so that it creates a very secure install. And yes, I am using double tracks, but as you can see here, I'm going to get really close so that I can show you just how you actually create a nice flat lay. So I'm going to drop one of the tracks, one of the widths, and I'm going to only be using a single track while I'm doing the fold over method. And then I'm going to go back once I fold that track over, and after it's completely secured. So you're going to stitch over that folded portion a couple of times just to make sure it's super flat. And once I have done that and make sure that portion is secure, I'm going to actually go back, stitching in the opposite direction, and I'm going to pick up the track that I dropped off. And this I'm going to go over a couple times as well, and this will ensure a nice flat fold over method without any lumps or any bumps. And as you can see here, I'm showing you basically how I'm going to place that folded track. And I'm going to basically just pick up the one that we left off and add it into the stitch. And then yet again, I'll be doing your regular double weft loop knot stitch technique, going all the way through. And basically by me folding that over, I just basically force that track to lay down. You see there's a slight gap, so I'm going to go back and kind of sew over that gap so that those stitches are still all in a nice even sequence. Be careful here because you want to make sure while you're stitching you're not actually stitching over your adjustable tabs. Depending on what type of cap you have, if the tabs loop and actually have to connect there, you may have to be careful not to actually stitch over those loops where they would connect. So I'm going to do the same concept here. Idea is just to go over the adjustable tabs, being sure not to stitch those tabs down or stitch over the tabs, because if so, then you will not be able to adjust that cap. And that's the purpose of the adjustable tabs, is so that you can actually adjust the size of the head. Folded it down, and yet again I'm going to go ahead and pick up that track that I left laying down and just add it in to my original sequence and continue stitching over. And as you can see, I'm coming up just beyond where those adjustable straps naturally lie so that I don't disturb the cap being able to be tightened later on. And some people, when they leave off on the stitch with a bit of thread, they won't tie it off tightly. I like to go ahead and tie off the end, the loose end, before I cut that excess threading off. And this will give you, this side here, I can actually get a better view, or give you a better view of how I did the fold over method and how I laid those tracks just beyond that adjustable cap band, the adjustable band. And you see that there. This portion, you just have to be careful not to sew down through the band. So I'm going to actually only be sewing through the knitting. There's a bit of mesh net over this band. I'm going to go through that mesh net, but I'm not going to go completely through the band. If I go completely through the band, then we won't be able to adjust the cap size. So as you can see, I'm just sewing through that netting, not going all the way down, just because I don't want to risk it tearing. So I'm just doing a little bit through that mesh net, just enough so that I can fold it over. And I'm going to continue to go through that portion a couple of times so that I can make sure that that weft is very flat and flush against the cap. And again, you can see I'm going to pick up the weft that I left off, and I'm gonna just continue to sew through the entire wig, just like I've done for these steps that I've shown you. And I'm just showing that your ability to be able to sew those two. I've even seen some people sew up to 3 wefts at a time. I wouldn't recommend that many, but this technique seems to work for me. My clients love it, so I'm sure you guys will be able to make it your own. And I'm just gonna slow this portion down here so that you can really see what I'm doing and my threading method, my stitching method, I'm sorry. I like to hold it taut at the base so that the previous stitch does not loosen while I'm stitching onward. This helps to keep everything super tight without any excess loose knots. I hate to have a sew-in or a weave or wig that you combing through and you keep snagging loops and loose strands of thread because that person did not properly stitch it tight enough. And as you can see, going through the hair, it's nice and full already, and we are still just sewing our first bundle. This keeps us from going through each individual weft. To just continue to stitch through the head and kind of fast forward towards the end. And as you can see, this is the finished product. Beautiful, natural looking, not too bulky, not too little hair. And again, this is 4 bundles, 2 28-inch, 2 30 inches by Kendra's Boutique, and a corresponding lace closure from the Virgin Hair Connect 706. And it blends very well. The client could not get the closure she needed from Kendra's Boutique on time, so she ordered one from a different company, but it definitely blends well. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and tell me what you guys want to, what else you want to know, and I'll be sure to come back with another video. Thank you.